Today here on Robert's Guitar Dungeon, we are checking out the Cab Driver from Digitech. Tell you what, just for kicks, let's take this thing out to my studio desk. Let's plug it directly into the interface, and let's hear how it sounds with an individual preamp going straight into the interface, coming out through Pro Tools. The Digitech CabDryVR, the name itself is kind of a clever play on words. Cab, of course, meaning speaker cabinet, cab simulator. Dry, of course, being dry signal. VR, standing, obviously, virtual reality ish, or which in this instance anyway translates into impulse responses. So very cool little pedal. I almost didn't buy this because it just, with all the other cab simulators and stuff that are out there nowadays, and there's not that many that are out there yet, but this one just kind of seemed a little on the plain side. But then I read a little bit deeper into it, and I saw that there's a lot of control on this thing. It has a total of 14 different cabinets that it simulates. 7 guitar cabinets, 7 bass cabinets. And, it's usually with things like that simulate speaker cabinets, you got a whole bunch of flavors of, like old Fender tweed cabs and stuff like that, and you got a whole bunch of that stuff. Then you got a couple of 212s, and then maybe a 412 or two, which is really what I am most interested in. But this one is not that. It's actually quite the opposite. It's got several 412 cabinets for guitar anyway. It's got several 412 cabinets, several 212 cabinets, with different speaker types. You can actually adjust the level itself, but more importantly, you got a concentric knob right there, and the top knob will allow you to adjust the actual size of the cabinet. As you turn it farther to the left, it simulates a larger cabinet, which kind of increases bass response. Going the other direction, obviously, will simulate a smaller cabinet, which increases treble. So, I found right around the 1 o'clock range, at least going into my Tascam 24 track, is right where I live. You can actually simulate 2 cabs at once. So if you want to simulate a full stack, it actually has a stereo mode that you can do that with. Stereo outs in particular, one cabinet for each out. And as you just saw in the demo, you can actually simulate that. It actually works for bass as well. And there's also a whole different flavor of bass cabs to go along with it. So, it's a heavy little son of a gun. I mean, this thing's a brick. I don't have a scale on me, but I mean, this is for a standard size stomp box. This may be the heaviest one that I own. They packed a lot into this thing. There is a lot going on with this pedal. So, these are important if if you don't want to lug an amplifier around or anything. If if you're playing on a small stage or something, and there's just no space for a cab, and you need to be able to go direct, you can pop one of these on the end of your pedal board and off you go. In my instance, what I plan on using it for is, of course, doing various pedal demos. Not all of them, but a lot of pedal demos I want to start using this with, so that I can do them out on my desk, and as silently, if you will, instead of having to fire up one of the big amplifiers in here, and just to make my life a little bit simpler. Because in doing so, I can then simulate the exact same cabinet, particularly in the instance of a shootout, without any other kinds of outside variables that might change the sound one direction or the other. Very, very useful. A lot of uses for these things. Of course, impulse responses are getting more and more and more popular every single day. Now, one thing I have to mention, because I cannot ignore it, this pedal has been out for a couple of years, and it was one of many, many, many things that Digitech DoD CEO Tom Cram brought to us as part of the revival of the Digitech and DoD brands. Because prior to them bringing him on, prior to Tom Cram coming on, both of those, DoD had been dead for years, of course, and completely shut down, and Digitech couldn't put out a decent product to save their lives for the most part. Now, enter Tom Cram. He completely revived the entire line, fixed all the problems, and actually started, he and his team actually started producing a ton of pedals that had a lot of really, really good, great quality and a lot of appeal to a lot of players, myself included. They brought me back to the brand. I have mentioned over and over and over again, my favorite chorus pedal, for the one that was on my board for 15 years, was a Boss Chorus Ensemble CE5. That was replaced by the Digitech Lux after 15 years and ain't going anywhere. I love that chorus pedal. They also did the I think it was the Polara reverb, the Mosaic 12-string emulator, the Nautilus, which I think was a flange chorus. There's the Obscura altered delay. There's a bunch of really cool Digitech pedals, not to mention the revitalization of the DoD line, such as one of my favorite distortion pedals, the Gunslinger distortion. They brought back the Meat Box synthesizer box, which was an old classic that the original ones sell for hundreds of dollars. They did a lot of really great things that were really good for the entire pedal and guitar community. Well, Harman, who owns Digitech and DoD in their infinite wisdom about it just right at about a year ago as of this recording, May 19th of 2018, decided to fire Tom Cram and his entire staff, and have since, after making that decision, have decided they are eventually going to shut the entire Digitech brand down. I don't understand why. I haven't been able to find any information as to why, and it's really sad because it took, because they were finally back to a point where a brand that I was really getting really excited about, and it's just too bad. It's just too bad because you have great products like the CabDryVR that are not going to be produced anymore. So, and I personally am a fan of the bigger brands that are working, trying really hard, like Boss at the Wazacraft line, TC Electronic with the tone print stuff, the bigger brands that are, really doing some really interesting things to compete with the booming boutique pedal market right now. So we now have one less of those. So Digitech, folks at Harman, if you see this video, and I hope that you do, please consider bringing back Mr. Tom Cram and revitalizing the Digitech and DoD line. Let him get back to doing what he was doing because he was doing a great job. I will post links to all of the gear used in this video. Please note there were no amplifiers, no microphones, no speakers used anywhere in this video with the exception of this dialogue mic. But I will post links to all of the gear used in this video down in the description below so that you can go check it out. Please consider hitting the subscribe button as well as the alert icon right next to it. Last but not least, please don't hesitate to leave me a comment down below about anything you may have seen in this video. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next video.